What's going on, everybody? Today we're going to be checking out a match in the 7,000 trophy range. It's going to be a mirror match with one of the strongest decks in the game. As we go through, I'm going to give you a little bit of my thought process, tell you why I did what I did. Hopefully it can give you a bit more insight into your gameplay and help you improve yourself. Now, I'm by no means the best player in the game, but we're going to be looking at some of the things I did well, some of the things I did poorly. Same thing goes for my opponent, and again, hopefully it can help you improve your own gameplay. So let's jump right into it. The first thing that you're going to be looking for is the boss that's going to be coming up first. Now, ours is Puppeteer. That means I should not be leveling up my DPS too highly because Puppeteer will be taking your mana levels away. Now, really, for the cards I have, the crit I have, same with my opponent, I can take Puppeteer out without a problem before he gets his first ability off. But if you are a newer player, keep that in mind when you're facing Puppeteer. So both my opponent and I are going to be dropping cards, and you'll notice that we each have a summoner and a mime on the board. I know it's instinct to instantly merge that, but since both of us have Harley Quinn in the deck, that's kind of what we're waiting for. We want a Harley Quinn on the board, if possible, before we merge a summoner, just so we can keep that on the board, use mimes, use other summoners, and get more cards on our board for free, because that's what summoner does. Now, unfortunately for me, I only have a tier 1 Thunderer, so it really doesn't do too much. So I did have to get a Meteor off at the beginning, but that's okay. Thunderer is the current meta right now. It's super strong, but tier 1s are they're pretty much trash. They don't do anything. So if you don't get at least a tier 2 in the beginning, you're going to have to rely on your Meteors, and then, they'll be able to handle the way for you. But tier 1s are just no bueno. So I've got plenty of summoners, I've got Harley Quinns. It looks like I'm in a bit of a dicey situation because I'm only dropping summoners and meteors, and when I'm merging, they're turning into meteors or summoners, or mimes, Harley Quinns. Not ideal, but we're gonna play through it. We're going to be looking at, unfortunately, utilizing a lot of our meteors at the start, which is okay, but meteors are really going to come into play late game, and once we get further into this match, I'll expound on that a little bit, but there are a certain way to utilize meteors. I've been holding on to my tier 3 Harley Quinn, just hoping that I can get a tier 3 summoner that I can mimic. Right now I have a meteor I can use, but it's not necessary. It's a level 1 Puppeteer, or an early boss Puppeteer rather. I know I'll be able to take him out without a problem, and since I didn't put any resources into actually leveling my Thunderers up, I'm okay if he takes away a level because, well, that level didn't really exist. So now that the next boss is Tamer, I'm going to invest some resources into actually leveling up my Thunderer so I can get a bit more damage on the board. And we're just gonna play it slow and smooth. That's all you really have to do. I've got my tier 1 Harley Quinn still on the board. The only reason that's there is because, again, I'm waiting for a summoner. I've got plenty of meteors that I can use if I need to, but the end goal is going to be waiting for that summoner so I can mimic it and then, get more bang for my buck. So this game is a little bit laggy, but it's okay because I'm not facing a shaman, so that's great. Am having to use a bit more meteors than I want to, but again, we'll manage. It's okay. And finally got the tier 4 Thunderer that I've been really wanting, or tier 3 is also doing just okay. But yeah, a tier 2 in the very early game is ideal. Once you get further onto the waves, tier 3 and tier 4 is able to handle it without a problem. Now, this looks like I'm getting in a very, very dicey situation, and kind of am. If I didn't have meteors in my deck, this would not be I would not be in a good spot. However, I do have plenty of meteors in my deck, so, I'm not too worried. Tamer's the next boss coming up. It's not something I really have to worry about. Tamer's one of the easiest bosses to deal with. And yeah, it's still early on in the match, so I'm not worried about him getting too much health that I won't be able to kill. So he's going to be spawning, and you'll notice I still had some meteors left on my board. I had a tier 3 that I could have merged if I wanted. However, I did not want to waste that. I knew I'd be able to kill this Tamer without a problem because I have a tier 4 Thunderer. So be very cautious about when you're using your meteors meteors, especially against bosses. If it's something like a tamer early on that you'll be able to kill, no point wasting your meteors because it's gonna come in handy as the minions get stronger. So next boss coming up is a Warlock. If you're not familiar, you can dodge Warlock's ability, okay? It's going to come in handy a lot. You'll probably see it as I play against Warlock now, or as he comes up. But yeah, another fairly simple boss. He does heal quite a bit in the later levels. In Thunder, doesn't do too great against his heal. But if you have Meteor in your deck, again, Meteor is a saving grace. He does plenty of damage. It's a super strong card. So we're just chilling right now. I'm gonna drop a Meteor just to make sure I can clear some waves. You know, when you're dropping a Meteor, I always try to wait until it gets to the top corner and a little bit past it. But one other thing you need to note is try to wait for the mini boss to be in the range. Because it does a percentage of the current health, and that's going to make a huge difference when you're able to hit the mini boss, and obviously it'll clear out any small regular minions and the fast moving minions, regardless of their health. So you want to make sure that you are hitting the mini boss with Meteor to allow your Thunderers to chip away at the rest of the damage. So about 5 seconds until the Warlock comes. He is going to start getting tankier, so I dropped another Meteor just to take some of the minions off the board so he's not too tanky, because there's only so many things I'm going to be able to dodge. And not only that, I don't want to have to merge my tier 4s or my tier 3s if I don't have to. So he's moving along. And this was actually, well, I mismerged. Not only that, but if I did get the merge correct, I wanted to merge the Mime to my Summoner there. I tried merging the Mime to my Tier 3 Thunderer. The ideal scenario would have been to get it to my Tier 3 Summoner. Regardless, I kind of missed it. I'm not sure if I didn't drag it over correctly or if it was lag. We'll go ahead and blame lag, because why not? But anyways, Gorgon is the next boss coming up. Gorgon is going to take out 2 people from my board randomly. So as we get along further in the wave, we'll kind of use my best judgment to see if I feel like I'm going to need a Meteor off the bat, or if I'll be confident that my Thunderers will be able to take him out without the help of a Meteor. You'll notice I have a tier 5 Harley Quinn on the board. I'm going to keep that as is, because as we get further along in the bosses, if I can get a tier 5 Meteor to use Harley Quinn on, that can take out a boss regardless of its health. So it's pretty insane. I do use a Meteor because that was a lot of health that Gorgon had. And now we're just going to kind of play it safe. I have a tier 4 Meteor that I can use. But statistically, considering I have Meteors, Harley Quinn, Summoners, and a few others on the board, I'm confident that statistically Gorgon should close off some of those and not my damage dealers. Now, it was a super risky play here. It was very risky, actually. I thought I'd be able to kill this much quicker than I did. We'll say it was planned and calculated. That got much closer than I wanted it to, but it worked out in my favor. So I decided to go ahead and use the tier 4 Harley Quinn on my Thunder to get another one of those, because I have a tier 4 Meteor, but I also have a tier 4 Mime. So that's going to come in handy if I do need to use a tier 4 Mime. Might as well get that extra damage from the Thunder instead of having to waste it on a tier 4 Meteor. Just going to continue to play this out. Again, Meteors are going to be super helpful here. So my plan at the moment is, once this next boss spawns, I'm going to use those tier 4 Meteors. Ideally, that's going to merge into a tier 5 Meteor so I can have it ready for the next boss that's coming up. That is ideal. If it doesn't happen, well, you know, we'll figure out what to do from there. But again, that's the ideal scenario. So I have a couple tier 2 Thunders on the board. That's what I'm going to be merging next. I want to get them out of the way, make room for more Meteors. That's my next goal. So again, tier 4 off the start. from 5.2 million to about 1 million health is what it did. And lucky me, I got a tier 5 meteor out of it. So if we can kill this, great. If we can't, I'm not too worried because I know my opponent's definitely not going to be able to kill his. He's going to lose 2 health. If I can't kill it, I'll also lose 2 health, but I'm in a much better position because I have a tier 5 meteor for the next boss coming up. And unless he starts merging and gets incredibly lucky, I know I'll win in that scenario. So again, it's a situation where I kind of looked at it and I'm like, okay, I can afford to take this hit, so I'm going to risk it again, not using any meteors to make sure I can take him out, because this tier 1 meteor here that I just Harley Quinned, that's gonna come in handy. It's gonna be needed for buying me some time until this next boss comes in. So again, I kind of wait until they get to the top corner. The mini boss is in range, and I'll go ahead and drop it. Make sure we clear all that out. Got another Harley Quinn for another tier 1, which is great. Started merging my tier 2 Thunders, getting them out of the way. And at this point, I do not want to use Harley Quinn on any more Thunders. The whole goal is be using them on meteors, because that's what's really going to be packing the damage now. The minions are tanky enough, especially the mini bosses, that Thunders are just not doing a lot for it. So I'll drop the meteors. I'm going to keep going for meteors. If I get summoners, those are great too, essentially free cards. And now I know I'm in a great position because his board, he's got tier 5 Thunders, which is normally super solid. However, we got Tribunal, and there he goes. About 9.5 million health. My tier 5 meteors took him out without a problem. My opponent did not have a tier 5 meteor, so not only did he take the hit of Tribunal, he has a beefy Tribunal to deal with. So we're gonna speed this up. My opponent wasn't lucky enough to able to kill this thing, but there you go. I hope you enjoyed the video. That's a little bit about my mindset as to why I do what I did. Hopefully it helped you out in some way. If you want to see more of this, feel free to let me know in the comments. Maybe I can review some of your replays. That could be fun. And thanks for watching.